Australia Day, observed annually on January 26th, celebrates the arrival of the first fleet of British ships at Port Jackson, now known as Sydney Harbour, in 1788. It marks the beginning of British sovereignty over the Australian continent. The date, however, is not without contention and serves as a day of celebration for some and reflection for others. The story begins over 2 centuries ago when Captain Arthur Phillip, commanding the First Fleet, raised the Union Jack at Sydney Cove to signal the beginning of the colony. This event signaled the start of a new era for the land which had been inhabited by Indigenous Australians for over 65,000 years. The Indigenous perspective remembers this day as the beginning of colonial invasion, which brought with it dispossession and profound grief to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, something that is referred to as Invasion Day or Survival Day among these communities. Initially, Australia Day was known as Foundation Day and was predominantly a New South Wales affair, given that the First Fleet landed in that particular state. It wasn't until 1818, on the 30th anniversary of the landing, that the first official celebrations were held. Governor Lachlan Macquarie acknowledged the day with a 30-gun salute and a festive ball. As the years passed, other colonies began to mark the anniversary as well, though it wasn't referred to as Australia Day until the 20th century. The centenary of the First Fleet's arrival in 1888 was a significant event, with major celebrations held in Sydney. However, other colonies continued to celebrate their own founding days. It wasn't until the Federation of the Australian Colonies in 1901 and the unifying of the states into the Commonwealth of Australia that the idea of a national day started to take form. Australia Day was officially recognized as a national public holiday for the first time in 1935. However, every state and territory didn't celebrate it on the same date until 1994. Today, January 26th serves as a day off work for many Australians who engage in various festivities to express their national pride. One of the most significant traditions on Australia Day is the citizenship ceremonies that welcome new members into the Australian community. These ceremonies are symbolic and affirm the values and responsibilities of Australian citizenship. As a part of the celebration, the Australian government also presents the Australian of the Year Awards, recognizing individuals who have made an outstanding contribution to the nation. Community events like festivals and concerts provide a space for both entertainment and an expression of the vibrant multiculturalism that characterizes modern Australia. Cities and towns across the country host parades, showcasing a colorful display of the nation's diverse society, including performances by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Public debates and reflective articles often surround the lead-up to Australia Day, wherein issues of historical significance and Aboriginal rights are discussed. Activists have increasingly highlighted the need to acknowledge the suffering of Indigenous communities that resulted from colonization. This has led to changing perspectives about the day, with a growing movement to change the date to one that is inclusive of all Australians. The Skyworks in Perth used to be the largest Australia Day fireworks display in the country, attracting hundreds of thousands of spectators. In Sydney, the harbour is a pivot of activities with ferry races and a spectacular evening fireworks show. Elsewhere, barbecues are commonplace, with Australians taking advantage of the warm summer weather to enjoy outdoor gatherings with family and friends. Food and drink feature heavily in the celebrations, with traditional Australian barbecue fare such as sausages, steak, and lamb chops, complemented by global cuisines due to the nation's multicultural fabric. Australia Day has evolved from an Ennisbals anniversary to a nationwide celebration and day of reflection, but it continues to be a complex date in Australia's historical narrative. Whether it's through community awards, new citizen welcomes, fireworks, barbecues, or spirited discussions, January 26th remains a day that is deeply felt and widely observed in differing ways across the continent. As Australia moves forward, the discourse surrounding Australia Day will undoubtedly continue to shape the country's identity and cultural heritage.